Hey there, CodeBear here. Before we start coding, we need to configure our environment. This should be the first step you take before starting any coding tutorial. Depending on what kind of project you are coding, there are variations on how you'll set up your environment. What I'm going to show you today is a common configuration for Windows-based systems that will allow you to develop projects in HTML, CSS, and PHP. You can also code in other languages, but it may require you to install a few additional dependencies that we won't be covering today. With that out of the way, let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is open up your browser and search for XAMPP. One of the first results that should come up is apachefriends.org. Open that site up and download a package made for your operating system. I'm on Windows, so I'm going to download the Windows version. You can also install this package for Linux and Mac, but there are more preferable ways to configure those systems for web development, and I'll discuss those in a different video. Okay, so once the file downloads, open it up. If you see any security warnings, click OK, and then continue with the installation. You should see a screen that contains different modules that you can install with XAMPP. It's fine to leave the default, or you can deselect modules you don't think you'll use. I'm not going to use FileZilla, Mercury, or Tomcat, so I'm going to deselect those. Let XAMPP install in the default directory, then sit back and wait for the program to install. If you see a Windows Firewall dialog pop up, make sure to grant access. Once installed, you should see the XAMPP control panel in front of you. The only thing we need now is Apache, but depending on what tutorial you are watching after this, you may want to enable MySQL too. Again, if you see any security dialog pop up, make sure you allow access. If you did everything correctly, you should now see both Apache and MySQL in green. Next thing we should do is open up your browser and type in localhost. If you see Apache Friends homepage, then congrats, you've now turned your computer into a local web server. Pretty cool, right? Now for us to work with XAMPP, we need to put our code in the XAMPP directory. You can find that by opening up the File Explorer and navigating to the XAMPP directory. If you installed XAMPP in the default directory, that should be in your C drive. Find that folder and navigate to htdocs. In here, let's create a new folder and call it Projects. Go back in your browser and add projects to the URL and hit enter. You should now see index of projects, basically indicating that we are inside this folder in the browser. Now before we go any further, we need to set up our code editor. There are a lot of different code editors to choose from, but I personally like VS Code. I will be using it for pretty much all of my videos, so I highly recommend that you download it too if you want your environment to look like mine. Download the one for your operating system and open it up once it finishes downloading. You can leave the installation defaults as they are, but if you want, you can also enable Explorer Context Actions to make things easier for opening up project files. Completely up to you, it's your preference. Wait for the program to finish installing, and when done, launch VS Code. Once VS Code is opened, navigate to File, Open Folder, and then navigate to the project directory that we created earlier. Anytime you open a new directory in VS Code, you'll see a prompt as to whether or not you want to trust the author of the files in the folder. This is our folder, and it currently contains nothing, so it's a pretty safe bet we can trust these files. But keep in mind, if you download code off the internet, you could potentially be downloading something malicious, which is why this warning exists in the first place, so just be careful. Okay, so let's create a new folder and name it something relevant to what we were doing. Let's say PHP Crash Course. In here, I'm going to create a file called index.php and add something simple to the file, like test. Alright, so let's go back to localhost in our browser and navigate to our new directory we just created in VS Code. and we get not found. Why do we get not found? Bear with me for a second.
Ooh, bear puns. I like those.
Oh, it's because it's projects, not project. And there you go. Now we can see what we're supposed to see, the word test on the page.
Sure.
Before I wrap this up, I just wanted to point out that we didn't have to write the file name in the URL. That's because web servers by default will always look for a file called index inside of a folder within the working directory, and if it finds a file called index, it will serve that file. However, if we name this file literally anything else, we would have to specify the file name in the URL for us to be able to see that page. I hope you found this to be bearable and learned something new. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. It's a new channel, but I promise if you keep coming back, you'll be an awesome programmer, and who knows, maybe you'll even find yourself a new career path. Until next time, keep coding and stay positive.